Hello and welcome to Community Service Spotlight. I'm your host, Bud Qualk. And wouldn't you like to stay in your home as long as you can as you get older? Well, I got some good news for you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. Our guests today are Brenda Burrow. You are a board member and I think president-elect for Made to Stay. I said Made to Stay. And the executive director, Carol Wright, is here also with us to answer all our questions. So I'm sure you're interested. What is Made to Stay? That's kind of an unusual name. What's that mean?
Go ahead.
Don't fight over it.
Okay. Well, the whole concept behind the name that we gave our village organization was that you're made to stay at home. I mean, that people were intended to be able to stay in their homes. So what we do is we try to help seniors, people 55 and older, or an adult with a handicap, to be able to stay in their home as long as they can, as long as they can safely do it.
So Made to Stay means exactly what it says.
Right.
Yeah. Before we go any further, let's get the contact information.
We have a website.
Okay.
madetostay.org. That's MADETOSTAY.org.
All one word?
All one word, yes. The contact phone number is 270-331-9288. And we have email, info@madetostay.org.
That's an easy one. Info
Yes.
at madetostay.org.
Org.
Org
That's
is the
right.
key. That's I
Org,
never got that one.
not com.
Okay. You have a physical location?
126 Cambridge Drive, and that is in Paducah.
In Paducah. Okay. 126.
126 Cambridge Drive. Right now the office is out of Carol's home.
And she's got a big home. You got a sign in the front yard, you said, right?
Correct.
Out by the mailbox.
Okay, we'll give you that contact information later on in the show. But first things first, what Made to Stay, you say help people stay, but what are the services? What can you do? Do you go in and give showers, or what are your services?
No, we don't do any personal care.
Okay.
We're not a caregiver service.
Not a sitter.
No, not a sitter service. Predominantly what we do is transportation for people that can't drive anymore. In fact, anyone who becomes a member of our organization has to be ambulatory. They have to be able to walk. Now they can use a walker or a cane or something, but they have to be able to walk.
No wheelchairs?
No wheelchair bound. Now, a lot of our members though will need to use a wheelchair, like if they go to Walmart shopping, then once we get in there, they'll get in one of those motorized wheelchairs and take off or something like that. But they can't be wheelchair bound. Our insurance dictates that. But mostly what we do is take members to doctor's appointments, to a hair appointment, to get their dog groomed, to buy groceries. We can do things many ways. We can either go in with them, like to a doctor's appointment. We can go in with them. We can wait in the car if they don't want us to. We have had members that actually wanted us to go in with them to the doctor. It's, himself, So, and same thing with shopping. I mean, we've got members who just give us their list and we go buy their groceries because they're not up to getting around the store. Or we can go and help somebody with their grocery shopping if they just need us alongside to go get things for them. Or again, we can just drop them off at the door and pick them up when they're ready to leave. But it's pretty well escorted, what they call escorted transportation. It's not, I'm going to just sit out front and let you come to the car and then I'm going to drop you off and come back 3 hours later. So we just try to tailor that to their needs. But we do small things around homes too. Yard work, small things around a house. Again, we're not a yard service. We are not a housekeeping service. But like, for instance, this last week we had a volunteer who went and spread out a couple of bags of mulch for one of the ladies that's a member.
Can I get on that list? I need.
Yeah. So, you know, small things like that. I've got a member who called me yesterday and asked if we could come over and help her organize her office at her house. She just needs some help going through papers, cleaning out, throwing out things that she doesn't need, and just getting things organized. So we can do small things like that around the home as well. So.
You almost hit on it there now. It rung in my brain. Help pay bills with the checkbook and stuff. Do y'all do anything like that's a little bit?
Yeah, that could get tricky. You have to be real careful with that. But we do have a member that we have been working with in the fact that she has Parkinson's, and so it's very difficult for her to make her checks out. And so we can go over there and write her checks out. I mean, she just tells us what she wants written out and stuff, and we can write them out for her, and we can go down and figure out her bank statement and that sort of thing for her. And then we just, you know, put the checks in the envelope and give them back to her, and she takes care of it. So, I mean, we can do that. You just have to be really careful with that.
She's capable of looking at it and making sure you're filling it
Right,
out. Right.
right.
Just she has a trimmer.
Right.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it may be as simple as replacing a light bulb, or they have some limbs hanging over a sidewalk or the driveway that they want trimmed, or, you know, bushes maybe shaped up a little bit. We can do any of that. It's the smaller kind of household things that need to be done.
There's a lot of people out there that need that, I bet.
Yes.
You know, I'm getting to the point where I can still do it, but it's almost, and I have just a small house and a small lot, and it's get to the point where it's a full-time job for me to keep everything straight and going. So I can just imagine if you added about 15 or 20 more years onto my life, you start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking on what you can do and what you can't do, and you may be able to do it, but it just too much physically.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Shoveling snow so they have a path to the driveway in the winter.
Could have used
Any of
that
those
last
things,
year.
yeah, that you really don't
did.
think about, but those are needs that people that can't get around quite as well as they used to, they need help with that stuff.
Yeah, last year was a big year
Yes.
for that. I bet you really ran into that a lot. I
Yeah,
guess.
we did.
You couldn't even get out of the door. Couldn't get the door open without of my house anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how did you get started? Has this been going on for 15, 20 years? This is, or just something relatively new?
We just started taking members this January, so
This
this is
2015?
really 2015. This is a very new organization for us. Back in January of 2014, correct? We saw a spotlight that Brian Williams on NBC News did about his in-laws that are part of a village organization in New Canaan, Connecticut. And it just kind of, Dave and Carol had seen it, and it inspired them to maybe help out those in the community that needed a little assistance. My husband and I saw it, and we thought, wow, what a great thing, because we were helping care for his father at that time. Carol had taken care of her mother for 8 years at home, could have used some extra help. And I know as we were seeking help to help him at home, it was very difficult. And he ended up moving into assisted living because we didn't have help at home. And so that was an inspiration for Keith and I to jump on board and get involved and see what we could do to help out in our community.
So that's going to be my next question is, how did you get involved? And it sounds like you had hands-on, both of you had hands-on, not problems, but situations where you saw what needed, you knew could use that kind of services and what have you.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of neat. And you all have been friends all since, or all along, or?
We've been friends for many years, and so we just kind of came together, the four of us, and started brainstorming through this.
And had similar situations, as similar as they could be, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm in the middle of one of those right now myself with my father, but it's
So many people are.
My stepmother's a saint, I'm telling you. She doesn't do everything perfect, but she's a saint for what she does.
Yeah. This is a membership organization, but we feel our fees are so low. It's $360 a year for an individual, or $600 for a household. Now that could be a husband and wife. A year for a year. Yes, and it could include maybe a child that has some disabilities, but we feel like those prices are very, very reasonable. I mean, I don't know how you can't do it. If you're needing a little assistance, I don't know how you cannot do that.
That's just
That
pennies
is-
a day.
it is pennies a day.
So $360, that's $1 a day to get all those services.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, an individual membership allows them to have 8 services a month of whatever, transportation or
Anything they
something
want.
around the house or something like that. So it's very reasonable. And we've had members tell us, it's like, how could I afford not to do this? Because they have been taking other means of transportation, paying for taxis or buses or whatever, that were not even as, just, they didn't work as well.
User-friendly.
They weren't as user-friendly, and they are usually a drop you at the door thing and come back and pick you up later.
When
Right.
you call. For
When
them
you
to come.
Call
call, so
and wait for 'em.
you're
Yeah.
waiting for them, right? So our members have told us there's no comparison. I mean, we can't afford not to do this. So it's
either that or stay at home.
yeah,
That's,
yeah, and
or-
you've got to get
or
out
go
and do
into a
things.
nursing
I mean, you
home.
have to get out and get your groceries. You have to get out and go to the doctor.
And
So-
it may be that they can actually do their grocery shopping, but getting those groceries physically back into their home may be difficult. And maybe that's what they need assistance with. So
yeah.
really, we're here to help them and do whatever they're not able to do or just not comfortable with. We want them to be safe. And, you know, if balance may be an issue, then we need to carry those groceries in for them.
I'll be darned. In my business, I've had similar things. I probably need to hire you guys to take care of some of my customers.
Are you 55 yet, Bud? Do you qualify? I
No,
don't
it's
think
not
so.
me, it's my customers. I'm still young, see?
That's right.
Now, you talked about the Brian Williams and the show that you saw inspired you to do this in Connecticut, and it's called A Village. So you are in that village.
Village organization, a
Organization?
village movement, they call it. Yeah, there's 160 villages like ours now across the country. Of course, some of them are huge. I mean, the first one started out in 2001 with Beacon Hill Village in Boston. That was the first village organization ever formed, and they have over 400 members now. And a lot of villages have several hundred members and hundreds of volunteers as well. So we're just getting started. But there's 160 of them that are already formed, and there's probably almost that many that are in the process of forming. It's a booming thing right now because our generation, our older generation is booming. We are expanding rapidly now. We're all the baby boomers, you know, are hitting this age right now. So it's just growing like crazy. And at the same time, government programs are getting cut way back.
Yeah.
So the funding to help take care of seniors is cut back. And, you know, and at the same time, that population is growing. And also, you know, Kentucky, according to the latest AARP report, Kentucky is the bottom of the barrel. We are 51st among the 50 states and District of Columbia. We are 51st for taking care of seniors.
That's not good.
We're
That's
either
not good.
51st or first, depending on the category, and it's usually not good.
It's not good.
Yeah, I thank heavens for Mississippi and Alabama and those guys.
Yeah,
They usually save us somehow.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So you do or you don't belong to the national organization, or you could belong to the national
We do.
organization?
We have joined it.
Okay. and
Yes,
it's a
we
small
do.
fee for joining, and you have all those services that they provide?
Right, right.
Okay.
And there's a lot of communication. You can, if you go on the Village Network site, their website, there's a map that you'll see over there that has these little balloons on it. And if you click on that map, it will bring up all the different village organizations around the country, and it gives their contact information. We're on there. And you can go, these villages are so wonderful about sharing information. Just like I talked to Brian Williams' mother-in-law several times at the one in Connecticut. She was very, very nice and very helpful. But they're all like that. Everybody tries to share information with one another and help you. The only other village organization that we have in Kentucky right now is in Bardstown, and that's called Bardstown at Home is their name. And they were very, very helpful when we were starting out. Very helpful.
I just ate lunch in Bardstown or Bardwell?
Bardstown.
Bardstown. I get them confused too.
Bardstown. No, last week, and I stopped there and ate, and I really ate something I shouldn't have because it wouldn't. I paid for it later, but it had all the distilleries and things around there, and I'm getting off the subject because I love bourbon, and never mind. So when you decided to get started, how did you know what to do? Did the National help you, or did you, like you said, you called that person in Connecticut and they helped you? But it seems like a big, once you get it started, okay, but then it's a big deal to, initially get set up. But
right.
Being a part of that village to village network was huge.
Yeah.
They have so much information on their website, or you could call them.
And they walk you through it?
And they walk you through it, yes.
Yeah. And the forms and things like that, oh my gosh, if I had had to create those from scratch, but all I had to do was borrow them from other organizations and then just change them.
Yes.
Change them around, adapt them and stuff like that. Policies and procedures, manuals, everything, because it's just a ton of paperwork that's involved.
Well, and none of us had ever done a business or started anything like this, so we were all flying by the seat of our pants, and we're thankful for Village to Village Network. Yeah.
Yeah, I have had no experience doing anything like this in my life, so it's been a learning curve.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
We've had
it
fun.
is fun.
Yeah. There's this guy, this banker that I know that just joined your board.
Awesome. I bet he's a great guy.
Okay, so now I lost my train of thought. But you said earlier you had insurance. You mentioned the word insurance. That's big. You've got insurance to cover you in case something happens.
Right.
What?
We do have insurance for our volunteers and the executive director, anybody that's
And the board.
Anyone. Yeah. So you are covered. Anything that, like, say we were to have a little fender bender in our vehicle when we're transporting a volunteer. Our insurance will pick up first if there's expenses on that. If it exceeds our insurance, then Made to Stay as an organization also has insurance that will kick in. So we are covered by insurance for our members, board members, volunteers, anyone that's associated.
Well, that's good news for somebody who might want to volunteer after this meeting and they get a hold of you. We give you contact information in a little bit. That might want to volunteer. I'm a little scary. I'm going to be working with somebody I don't know, and I don't want to take a chance.
Absolutely.
So that insurance is big. Mm-hmm. And then another question I've got is 501c3. Are you all 501c3, or do you have to pay taxes?
I'm sure that we will have to file taxes. We are 501c3. We just got it the 1st of May. So that is huge. So now we can start trying to raise some funds, because you really can't seriously try to raise funds until you're 501c3. We had a little bit of funds come in and stuff. And really for villages in general, for most of the villages in general, about 1/4 of their money comes from their membership fees, and the rest of it has to come from donations.
3/4.
Yeah.
That's one of my next questions. Sounds like it could be expensive because you're not charging very much. I'm sure that small fee doesn't cover everything.
Yeah.
Now, if I was a volunteer, tell me how that works. How do I know who to? Do you call everybody and tell them what to do, or what do you?
Carol has made it so simple to be a volunteer. You can go to the website, the madetostay.org website, and there is a volunteer application. If you don't have access to a computer, you can call the number 270-331-9288. You'll get Carol, and you can just tell her you'd like to get a volunteer application. She'll put one in the mail to you.
Okay.
She'll get that application, and then she'll set up a time to come out and interview you and set you up. Being a volunteer with Made to Stay is not a scary thing. You don't have to say, I'm available Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 12. It's not like that. When Carol gets a request, she puts that on the website, and the volunteers can log in at any time and see what needs are coming up. And if you have a time that works for you, say someone needs to go to the dentist at 9 o'clock next Tuesday and you're free, then you just reply and you say, I'm available for this person. And that doesn't mean every Tuesday you're available.
Just that one day.
Just that one day. You don't have to commit to anything. It's a very, very simple process. There's a commitment because you want to help people, but you don't have a time restraint that you're stuck to every week.
And that's really big with volunteering.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't want to say, okay, now all my Thursdays are tied up or all my Saturdays are tied up. And if you want to go on vacation, then that's a problem and blah, 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 blah. So it goes day by day then. Yeah. So that's
and
big.
It's in their hands. It's in the volunteers' hands, you know.
No pressure.
And I'm not calling and making somebody
on,
feel
please,
guilty.
please.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not doing that. No, no.
I hate doing that stuff. I hate to beg for anything.
Oh,
Money or
me
anything.
too.
And we
I'm not good at it.
we could really, really use more volunteers.
Right.
Especially those that can drive. We definitely need more volunteers.
Especially drive at night.
No.
No,
No,
you don't drive at night. Well, tell me, how do you get volunteers? You said that we need more volunteers. Is there a system that you use maybe to recruit volunteers, or just
Programs like
talk about
this.
volunteers for a minute.
Community spotlight programs, word of mouth.
We're on a couple of websites now for volunteers. There's a national one called Volunteer Match that we're on, and also we're on the website for United Way for volunteers
Good one,
now. So we've just gotten started on those not too long ago. So, but I'll tell you, word of mouth is probably one of the biggest things, and I know other organizations like ours say the same thing, that word of mouth is where most of their members come from, and it's where most of their volunteers come from.
Well, almost all volunteer groups, you know, you don't have the flexibility you guys have got. You've got probably the best and easiest system for a volunteer, and the less commitment. And that less commitment is the biggest thing. If I was going to be a volunteer, I don't want to sign up for every day and every day.
Right.
And in my job, I can't do it anyway. But so, do you have any other events? You said something about earlier when we were talking about luncheons and things like that. Do you have any events, golf outings or anything like that? That's pretty big. I know you're brand new. You think
We hope to have things like that. We hope to have more events, and we hope to one day be able to take people on little small excursions and things like that. We're not there yet. We're just really new right now, and so right now we have a monthly luncheon, and it's the second Tuesday of each month. And it's always listed on our calendar on our website. If anybody wants to join as a guest, they're welcome to come. But it's primarily members and volunteers, but guests are welcome.
Okay, so tell me more about the luncheon. Where did you say it was?
Well, it varies. This next luncheon that we're having for next month for August is going to be at the Jackson Oaks Retirement Center.
That would be a great place to get.
That will be a great place.
Maybe you get some volunteers out of there, maybe.
Yeah.
We hope so.
Or maybe one or the other.
Yeah, the Knights of Columbus have been very gracious in allowing us to use their place.
I'm a Catholic, so I can say that.
The place they have down on Jefferson is just a perfect location. And so in September, we're actually going to have a luau for our lunch. And we're going to have it
grass
there.
skirts
That's
and everything?
right.
Yeah, you have to bring your grass skirt.
Put me down.
So it just varies. We do different places at different times.
It's always from 11:30 to 1, the second Tuesday of every month.
Second Tuesday of every month, 11:30 to 1.
Yes.
And we have either a speaker or we have entertainment. Like for the luau, we'll of course have entertainment, but most of the time we have a speaker that's talking about something that's relevant.
Maybe
for our
estate
members.
planning or something?
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
That's exactly what we were thinking.
And I don't charge hardly at all. Just kidding. How does a person, we talked about the volunteers, how does a person that maybe needs something, how do they go about getting the services? How do they sign up, or do they sign up? Is there a waiting list, or?
There's not a waiting list. As long as we have enough volunteers to assist new members and current members, we will take new members. The same way a volunteer applies, is you go to the website and there's a member application and you fill that out and you mail it in, and Carol will contact you and come out and do an interview and make sure you meet the criteria of your ambulatory and those things. Most people fit the criteria if they're interested, and they get signed up. It's a very, very simple process.
So ambulatory is the main thing?
That's one of the main things, yeah.
Okay.
And as far as paying for membership, it doesn't have to be done all at one time. You can divide that up annually or semi-annually.
Or quarterly.
Quarterly.
I mean, if,
Weekly? No.
Preferably not. Become a bookkeeping nightmare to do that. But.
We can take short-term members though. Say you've had surgery and you're not able to drive for a short period of time.
Couple months?
Yes, we can do short-term
Like for knee surgery and hip surgery, typically people can't drive for like 6 weeks. So they can get membership just for a month. And it gives them 3 transports a week, because that's typically what their rehab is going to be.
Okay, real quickly, we've got a little bit of time here. Before we get to the contact information, if I want to be a volunteer, I can go online and fill out an application. If I can't do that, then I call you at the number we're going to give in just a minute, and you get an application to that person to be a volunteer.
Right.
Volunteers, and then if I want services, I can do the same thing. I can go online. If I don't have a computer, and a lot of elderly people don't have computers or iPhones and all that stuff, then I call you again, call that number. Okay. Well, she's getting all the calls. You got to you played it right.
Calls.
Okay, and now give me your contact information again.
madetostay.org, or the phone number is 270-331-9288, or you can email at info@madetostay.org, or send the old-fashioned letter to 126 Cambridge Drive, and that's Paducah 42001.
I want to thank you, Carol and Brenda, for coming today, and I want to thank our viewers for tuning in. I'm your host, Bud Qualk. Until next time, Community Service Spotlight.